good afternoon. It's a real pleasure to be here with President Macron, a firm friend to me personally and a firm ally to the United Kingdom. We first met in the Elysee, I think about 2 years ago, before I came into office when I was leader of the opposition. And it was clear to me then that we had a shared sense of the dangerous times that we're living through and of our responsibility to step up and to lead. We also share the fundamental belief that we serve our people better, create better jobs and opportunities, make our nation stronger, fairer and more secure if we work together. And the state visit has been a celebration of this relationship, our unique bonds of history and of culture. And today, our task is to look forward, to deliver a step change in this partnership, to meet the challenges of this moment and get the results that people want to see. Starting first with tackling illegal migration. Now, this is a global crisis, and it's a European crisis, but it is also very acutely a crisis for our two nations, a crisis of law, security, humanity and fairness. We face a sprawling, multi-billion-pound enterprise run by organised criminal gangs, leading hundreds of people to their death in the Channel. So we're determined, together, to end this vile trade. There is no silver bullet here, but with a united effort, new tactics and a new level of intent, we can finally turn the tables. So I'm pleased to announce our agreement today on a groundbreaking returns pilot. For the very first time, migrants arriving via small boat will be detained and returned to France in short order. In exchange for every return, a different individual will be allowed to come here via a safe route, controlled and legal, subject to strict security checks, and only open to those who have not tried to enter the UK illegally. This will show others trying to make the same journey that it will be in vain, and the jobs they've been promised in the UK will no longer exist because of the nationwide crackdown we're delivering on illegal working, which is on a completely unprecedented scale. The President and I have agreed that this pilot will be implemented in coming weeks. Now, I know some people will still ask, why should we take anyone in? So let me address that directly. We accept genuine asylum seekers because it is right that we offer a haven to those in most dire need. But there's also something else here, something more practical, which is that we simply cannot solve a challenge like stopping the boats by acting alone and telling our allies that we won't play ball. That is why today's agreement is so important, because we will solve this, like so many of our problems, by working together. Just look at the steps the French government is planning, subject to their ongoing maritime review, to allow their officers to intervene in shallow waters and prevent more boats from launching. That is a big step, and I want to thank the President for driving it through. So this is our plan together, hard-headed, aggressive action on all fronts, to break the gang's business model, secure our borders, and show that by attempting to reach the UK by small boat will only end in failure, detention and return. Second, we've also made real progress today on boosting jobs and growth, building on our new agreement with the EU. We're ambitious for what we can do together as G7 economies, close trading partners and leaders in areas that will dominate in years to come. Together, our countries account for over half of European spending on research and technology. So we've gone further today, collaborating on satellite connectivity, bringing together our leading supercomputers to seize the opportunities created by AI and bringing down barriers to trade and investment in strategic sectors. Just this week, we've welcomed EDF's major investment in Sizewell C, which will create thousands of jobs, boost our energy security, and protect bill payers for years to come. Third, we've strengthened our work to stand together for European security and in support of Ukraine. Because I'm clear, the security of the British people starts in Ukraine. We have just co-chaired a meeting of the Coalition of the Willing, including representatives from the United States for the first time. We announced plans for a new multinational force, Ukraine, headquartered in Paris, so that we're ready to support a peace deal when it comes. But while Putin turns his back on peace, we are rallying more support for Ukraine right now to defend their people and force Putin to the table. Now, as Europe's only nuclear powers and as leaders in NATO, we play a vital role in preserving the peace and security on this continent. So today we've updated the historic Lancaster House Treaty to protect our people and our way of work. This is a major modernisation. We are overhauling the combined Joint Expeditionary Force to make it 5 times larger, 50,000 troops strong, able to act across every domain. But we're going further. This morning, we signed the Northwood Declaration, confirming for the first time that we are coordinating our independent nuclear deterrence. From today, our adversaries will know that any extreme threat to this continent would prompt a response from our 2 nations. There is no greater demonstration of the importance of this relationship. And while we stand together for our collective defence, we must also deliver a defence dividend for working people. So we've agreed a deeper industrial partnership today to bring our defence industries closer than ever before. We're not just talking about stepping up. On defence, jobs and growth, we're delivering it. Previous governments tried and failed to secure results like this. We can achieve them now because we've taken the time and the care to do the real work, the quiet, serious diplomacy, to build proper relationships which multiply our strength and the opportunities that we enjoy. So, Emmanuel, thank you so much for being here. We represent 2 fiercely proud and independent nations, but by working together, we are delivering for our people, and we're a force for good in a dangerous world. Thank you, Emmanuel, and over to you.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Premier ministre, cher Keir. Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, généraux, amiral, Mesdames les ambassadrices, Mesdames et Messieurs, je veux d'abord ici remercier Sa Majesté le Roi Charles III pour son invitation à effectuer cette visite d'État, la première d'un président français depuis 17 ans, et pour l'accueil exceptionnel que je veux également remercier
wife and my delegation. I'd also like to thank Prime Minister Starmer for the very fruitful discussions during the 37th Franco-British Summit today in Downing Street and a few moments ago in Northwood. Prime Minister Keir, as you just recalled in detail, many of the breakthroughs in which we've reached agreement, indeed defining for the coming years and decades. I'd just like to run through each of them. I recalled in Westminster on Tuesday, this state visit recalls the strength of our alliance at the strategic level and the reset around shared interests and common projects for our future. In terms of defence and security, France and the UK have in-depth cooperation with the two nuclear power states in Europe, two permanent members of the UN Security Council in Europe, the two armies that have the greatest capability on combat experience and those that cover the high end of the spectrum, anti-submarine operations and sensitive enemy submarine hunting, as we saw earlier for the Joint Commander. Since the Lancaster House treaties in 2010, our cooperation focuses not just on equipment operations, but also on military nuclear programs. However, times have changed, and our partnership must change accordingly. Today, the question is not just a matter of having expeditions against terrorists in failed states, but to confront a major conflict in Europe involving sophisticated states over the next few years. And with that in mind, Europe must know that it can count on a strategic bullet with France and the UK. That's why we've taken the required measures outlined in the Northwood Declaration that you just referred to. On the nuclear front, we've taken three major decisions. The first concerns our doctrine. In 1995 at Chequers, we affirmed that we could see no situation in which the vital interests of one might be affected without affecting those of the others. Today, in a radically different context that we're facing in the spirit of the European dimension that I mentioned, we're going even further. We recognize that we can conceive of no situation of extreme threat in Europe that would not prompt a rapid response on our part, whatever the nature of that response. Second decision is that we're not ruling out the coordination of our respective deterrence postures, a message that our partners must hear, as well as our adversaries. Thirdly, is the decision to deepen further our cooperation in the deterrent spheres, be it for policy, capability, or operations. And we've decided for that to set up a joint structure, the Nuclear Monitoring Group, tasked with leading this cooperation. Now, these fundamental decisions that we've taken today in the agreement signed, our two countries remain independent and sovereign, but we're giving ourselves the means, when necessary, to work together in keeping with the markedly more threatening environment that we now face. Operationally, we've decided to radically upscale the CJTF that we set up in 2010 is the basis of our defining contribution, moving this force from a brigade to an army corps level, including up to 50,000 men that can be deployed in a major capability, which would be a 5 times increase of France and the UK, capable of including other European partners to be made available to the alliance. Our partnership convert credibility, robustness to the NATO European pillar in operational terms, and also gives greater credibility to nuclear capability. In terms of capability, decided to existing cooperation on future cruise and anti-ship missiles and undertake work to deliver the future air-to-air missiles, the new surface-to-air defense missiles, and in conjunction with Germany, the very long range missiles for in-depth strikes. Lastly, we've endorsed heightened defense cooperation in the fields of AI, space, cyber, and also manipulation of information at a time when both our countries are facing many hybrid threats. You can see it's a full suite that we've decided upon in order to confront our major challenges, from the most massive to the most insidious. UK has a special position in Europe. Our threats know no institutional borders, neither does our solidarity. We can build on our obvious sources with the UK, notably with the European Intervention Initiative. What also unites us is our determination to support Ukraine. With the Prime Minister, we convened a coalition of willing President Zelensky in Rome, present for the Reconstruction Conference, together with Prime Minister Meloni. A show of unity demonstrated last February when we held the first meeting in Paris a few weeks after in your country, Prime Minister. We had a fear, which was to be alone and to have a transatlantic divergence, and we wanted to reaffirm a message of strong support to the Ukraine. This unity has allowed us to rally U.S. senators who are gearing up to launch more sanctions, and the Special Envoy General Kellogg, a determination to act together to continue support to Ukraine short-term on vital capability, drones, missiles, but also anti-drone capabilities, financing to secure a ceasefire. It's the purpose of additional sanctions taken, the 18th sanctions package that we're going to finalize, and sanctions that the Americans are getting ready to take that have this deterrent function rather than a conviction in regard to Russia. And above all, we've been able to announce the finalization of military planning finalized a few. I'd like to thank Admiral Radekin and General Burka for their work and the coordination of all their counterparts. 30 countries have rallied, and around this partnership and this co-Franco-British leadership, planning allows us to plan for a day a ceasefire will be signed. We're allowed to secure that ceasefire at a time at sea, under sea, through a regeneration of Ukrainian forces, and if need be, also reassurance forces that we planned. And operations staff is planned in Paris. 200 planners are already involved. As you can see, the question was put to us a few weeks ago. Your coalition of the willing, is it something concrete? It's simple. It's not just something that is concrete. These are hundreds of military personnel already mobilized, an existing staff, and decisions and planning already done. We've agreed to strengthen our partnership against the Russian shadow fleet and against sanctions busting and reduced oil revenues from Russia. Beyond Ukraine, we have the same approach on the Middle East to call upon a cessation of hostilities, a path to peace, and the war spiral following the Hamas terrorist attack on 7th of October 23. Together, we've called for a ceasefire in Gaza and the freeing of all hostages. It's paramount to end the plight of hostages in Gaza. And continuance of an endless war without strategic goal is a grave threat for the region and our collective security. And today, it's a locus of dehumanization that nothing can justify together. We know how vital it is to offer a political path. I believe in the future the two-state solution is a basis of a regional security architecture allowing Israel to live in peace and security with its neighbors. And I believe in the need to unite our voices in Paris, in London and elsewhere to recognize the state of Palestine and initiate this political momentum, which is the only consistent with prospects for peace. Our summit endorsed our regained reset 9 years after Brexit. I support the efforts of the Prime Minister to restore trust and uphold the agreements reached with the EU, strengthen that through areas of common common interest, and I welcome that we were able, 19th May last, to set out a pragmatic roadmap between the EU and the UK on energy, climate, defence, health, phytosanitary standards, and youth mobility. Today, we're rolling out this reset bilaterally. Firstly, in the economic sphere, our trade topping their pre-Brexit levels, where the third and fourth largest investors in each other's countries, 3,500 French companies in the UK remain the second largest foreign employer. Several cooperation agreements signed between universities, research centres in AI and quantum power, and we're strengthening and anchoring today our partnerships in two other key sectors. Civilian nuclear power, first and foremost. The EDF will deliver the two EPR nuclear reactors, Sizewell C, investing to 12% in the equity of the project company. It's good for decarbonising the UK economy. It's good for its energy security, for jobs and for skills. It's also good for EDF, that's thereby developing the EPR technology. As for the Sizewell site, that'll benefit from series production stemming from the Hinkley Point reactors. Second economic area is that of space. UK government will take part in the capital increase of Eutelsat that will add to the increase that we announced on the 19th of June, bringing the total amount to 1.5 billion euros, allowing our UK partners to conserve on a par their equity stake in the company. We thereby support the strategic growth plan of Eutelsat, the development of its LEO constellation, and strengthening our European partnership in terms of space connectivity in these two areas, civilian, nuclear, and space, two forward-looking sectors. This summit is leading to major progress culturally. In its with 300,000 French based in the UK, 150,000 Britain and France. It's a key component of our relation. We announced yesterday the loan and exhibition of the British Museum from September 26, July 27 of the Bayeux Tapestry, the most symbolic work of our shared history. The conversely, Sutton Hoo artwork, other works of art of British heritage that will be exhibited in everything will be done to ensure the protection of these national treasures, and I even hope, in the face of attempts of destabilization by Larry the Cat, and our experts will ensure the conservation of these. But lastly, we've agreed to bolster our efforts jointly to fight against migrant traffickers in the Channel and to stem illegal immigration. As you mentioned at length, Prime Minister, it's a key challenge for both our countries. By the Sandhurst Agreement, we've implemented remarkable cooperation with substantial results, notably the near extinction of attempts by rail or road transport via the tunnel. Let's recall a few years ago, it was the subject of daily comments. We managed to fully close off these routes, managed to prevent far better than previously the departure of small boat, but the human technical resources we're deploying never been so substantial. But we've noticed since January last an increase in illegal crossings with new route taxi boats, people smuggling, taking ever-increasing risks for these crossings, and with a greater risk for these people who are fleeing their country, and so we need to strengthen our checks. Today we have over 1,200 security and intervention forces. It's a problem on both sides of the Channel, in addition to the tension this situation generates in northern France, well on your coast. That's why we're going to increase our share of it on several fronts. Firstly, need to understand that since Brexit, and I'm saying all this quite honestly, I know it's not your case, Prime Minister, but many people in your country explained that Brexit would make it possible to fight more effectively against illegal immigration. But it's in fact since Brexit that UK has no migratory agreement with the EU. In fact, therefore, for candidates for the crossing, those alternative legal admission route nor a readmission scheme after a crossing. It creates an incentive to make the crossing the precise opposite what the Brexit has promised. Today, thanks to the proposal of our Home Secretaries, an agreement in principle for this pilot project that will be a major deterrent on the business model of smugglers, and by opening a legal admission route for people who have family ties with the UK, on the other hand, by planning the readmission those who successfully cross according to the principle of one for one. The agreement was signed as soon as the legal verification procedure completed, including those of the EU necessary regarding an issue linked to an external border of the EU so that it be implemented as swiftly as possible. Secondly, regarding the maritime intervention doctrine, which were aimed at better sharing intelligence, better fight against smugglers' networks, and to cross the maritime scheme, including the dimensions pertaining to the fight against illegal immigration and search and rescue. We're going to step up our joint cooperation towards countries of origin and transit during the migratory routes, upstream fight against the networks to deter departures and act on returns. We're working on the beginnings of the route in departure countries by addressing the root of the problem. The UK task force launched at the 2023 summit is working fully. We had initial results with Iraq. We're continuing with other countries. Lastly, Prime Minister confirmed the full rallying support of his government to address the pull factors of illegals, notably as regards the fight against illegal work and irregular stay, and I thank him warmly for that. And our summit this morning allowed to cover all these initiatives. You'll have understood these are strong, new, in-depth decisions that we're taking to fight against these networks and this illegal immigration and ensure fully security in both our countries. That's what I wish to say, following up on the Prime Minister's words. I'd like to end, if I may, by expressing my full gratitude to you, Prime Minister, for this summit and the decisions. As you've said, it's renewed trust. Several years after Brexit, trust between our governments, between our two nations, and between the two of us. And I profoundly believe in the actions that we're implementing. The last few months showed that in terms of the coalition, though, willing that we launched together and will show in all the issues that I've referred to. And ultimately, through these decisions and this summit, we're beginning to illustrate, to flesh out what His Majesty the King wanted to announce a few days ago, this entente amicale. We're giving it content, and we're sketching out and drawing this future together. I firmly believe that that is the right formula. That's why we decided to adopt it and together move forward on this part of the entente amicale hand in hand. Thank you.